Hello friends, welcome to Knowledge Valley. Today we are going to discuss the editorials on The Hindu. So the first editorial that we are going to discuss on is The Swarm. Locust in western parts add a new dimension to other disasters facing India. So this is about the locust attack. Second, we are going to discuss on a moment to trust the teacher. The novel coronavirus crisis is the right time to create the energy for examination reform. So this is about education reforms. The third editorial is an important one because it is written by M. Venkaiah Naidu. He is the Vice President of India, chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And the editorial that he has written is enjoying the fruits of their labor. Farmers deserve the freedom to market their produce at a place of their choice. This editorial talks about the agriculture and about the farm sector. So another important editorial. The last editorial that we'll be covering is helping supply chains to recover. Not a fiscal stimulus, but cutting the government expenditure, removing price controls and opening up trade will help. So these are the four important editorials. So the first editorial is The Swarm. The locust in western parts add a new dimension to other disasters facing India. So we had seen in the recent past, that is in the month of April 2020 and May 2020, India, or you can say the whole world, is hit by the pandemic of coronavirus. To top it all, there are other disasters also which are affecting India. One of them was in Bengal, where we had the Amphan cyclone. Now, during the time of these disasters, there's another disaster which is on its lurk, or another danger which is on its lurk, that is a burgeoning means rapid spreading locust swarm in Rajasthan, Gujarat and even parts of Madhya Pradesh, which threatens to amplify into an agrarian disaster. Now there are various types of locust. One of them is the desert locust. It is very bad for the agriculture. The monitoring of this locust movement is seen by Locust Warning Organization in Jodhpur. Just remember, Locust Warning Organization is in Jodhpur. They track the movement of these desert locusts which are dangerous. 13 locust upsurges have happened from 1964 to 1997. Since 2010, there was no large-scale breeding. But what happened this year? So this is the study done by Locust Warning Center, that after 2010 there was no large-scale attack of these locusts, but this year there is a danger lurking and there is an attack which is going to happen. Okay, so the East Punjab Agricultural Pests, Diseases and Noxious Weeds Act 1949 shows how dangerous this locust attack is. Remember this act again: East Punjab Agricultural Pests, Diseases and Noxious Weeds Attack, in which the district collector has the power to call upon male person above 14 years. He can ask the male person from every house above 14 years to come and give assistance to the government. So just imagine how dangerous these attacks have been, not only now but also in the past before independence as well. Now, why are these dangerous attacks happening, the locust attacks happening this year? What happened is, last year the Met Department, that is the Meteorological Department of India, IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, had predicted that there will be less rain. But in month of June, all this changed. In Indian Ocean, you must remember. So you have the Arabian Sea over here. You have Africa over here. Africa and the Middle East, and this is India. So this part, that is the Arabian Ocean, it became very hot and it was conducive for the rains in this region. So it started raining in this region. When there was rains in this region, what happened is in Africa there was breeding of these locusts, and because of the movement of the air today, the locusts are coming towards the eastern part. So that is the major reason. So last year, as we know, in 2019 there was good rains, and this rain was actually a boon for us, boon for the agricultural sector. But in a negative sense, there was breeding which was done in Africa, and now the movement of these locusts has happened. So the breeding locusts which threaten farming are an indirect fallout of the warming of the Indian Ocean and the resultant rainfall. Moist African deserts precipitated local breeding, and favorable rain-bearing winds are now taking these locusts towards India, Pakistan and Afghanistan, where due to coronavirus, people are now focusing on coronavirus, and they have stopped putting pesticide. Normally what used to happen is India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, they all work coordinatedly, and all the farmers used to use pesticides, and these attacks were not completely, even if not completely stopped, they were curtailed. But this year, since coronavirus, everyone is focusing on the coronavirus, and the relationship with Pakistan is not that great, which has resulted in the attacks of these locusts having grievous danger to the agriculture and the food security. One good point that we need to remember is most of the crops have been harvested. Since it's May, the April month is the harvest. Since it's May, most of the crops are harvested, so the resultant destruction is less, but we can't be happy about it. This year there is going to be good rains in the month in Rajasthan, and this can be conducive for more growth of these locusts. What we need to do is we need to come together as a one world, or as a global village, and work together, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, on all the countries, plus reduce the impact of global warming and think about the environment and ecology. The next editorial talks about the education reforms. This editorial is a moment to trust the teacher. The novel coronavirus is a right time to create energy for examination reforms. So we have Krishna Kumar, who's the former director of the NCRT, who has given this editorial. What does Krishna Kumar have to say? A public examination in the middle of the coronavirus is hard to imagine. That is what Tamil Nadu government has done. So Tamil Nadu government is going to conduct an examination for 10th standard during the time of pandemic. This is what is a concern for Krishna Kumar. Indeed, special arrangements have been made. These include sparse seating to meet the examination requirements, as well as physical distancing between candidates. No more than 10 will sit in a room. So some steps have been taken, like no physical distancing, physical distancing will be followed, and no more than 10 people in the room. But is it the right time to conduct examination? So that is a question which Krishna Kumar is asking. This is the main ground why the NCRT had made a recommendation in the for making the grade 10th as voluntary. This is a middle path that the Tamil Nadu government can consider this summer. Whenever schools reopen, children who want to take the board exam can do so. Others can carry on in next grade. All that matriculate exam might achieve in Tamil Nadu is to sort the students. In which stream? For that, do we need to take such a great risk and put the lives of the students in danger? It is a matter of belief that marks attained in grade 10 board exams are a reasonable basis for judging who should study what. One might consider this a valid argument if the exam papers and marking scheme of grade 10 exam had some substance. So some might say that this should be a fair reason that we should conduct board exam, so that the students who are more inclined towards science and get good marks, they are able to put in science. Even if there is less marks, they are able to put in commerce, and the others in arts. But what is the standard of the board exam? What is the substance in the questions asked? So the director of the NCRT gives an example. He says that he gives an example of a question: why is the world peace an essential one? Such questions are asked in the board exam and the teachers give marks to the students based on fixed answers. So there is a fixed answer to it, and the teacher's job is to ensure that the child gives that answer rather than brainstorming, rather than giving his views. And in fact, it is sometimes a bit of nonsensical if these questions are asked to judge on which stream you will go. The meaning of refresh. It is the job of teachers to ensure that every child is all set for the kind of questions that are asked. Teachers are complaining that the exam which is there in June the time is very less, is too much short for refreshing the children. But but the word refresh, they mean activate children's rote memory. Our education system is completely of rote memory. It is the test of the rote memory, and it has made children robots or toys which work on keys. So you turn on the keys, the child works accordingly. So this is what our education system is turning our children into, on rote learning and making them robots, toys. Sometimes even statements which are made, like the districts of Tirupur. These are the examples which the writer is giving. The district of Tirupur has passing percentage of 98.53%. Ramanathapuram with 98.48% and Namakkal with 98.45%. What is this competition showing us? Is Tirupur better than Ramanathapuram, or Namakkal not that great as Tirupur? So what happens is, we have all fallen into the rat race, competition, rote learning, and children are turned into toys. Even some statements like girls outshine boys. They have various messaging which might create problems in the children. So they have a different messaging which is not good for the society, which is not good for the education system. So the time of crisis, as said, adversity is mother of invention. So crisis and change. Some disasters teach lessons. The experience of going through a crisis can create the desire for reform. But it is hard to imagine that novel coronavirus will create energy for examination reform. A system so well established as the board exam does not easily yield to pressure for improvement. So it's difficult to remove this concept of board exams. It's like a ritual. The board system has successfully resisted the criticism and recommendation articulated by many committees. Even a minor improvement in the exam system will demand an effort sustained over several years, during which a regime may change and the officer in charge may get shifted or retire. If we do not wish to feel cynical, a good starting point for a change is to think of alternatives for the board exam. A certificate, an alternative for name for a certificate a child gets after passing the 10th standard is also needed. School leaving certificate. Once upon a time, the matriculate examination carried a lot of weight, and only a handful proceeded towards further education. Today, the overwhelming majority of children do not want to leave school after class 10th. Tamil Nadu is among very few states left where the term school leaving certificate is used. Ironically, these are the states with the highest rate of transition from 10 to 11. Let us hope a violent exam will impel these states to drop an obsolete title. The next step will be to start trusting the teacher and nurture the growth of a school based system of evaluation rather than board exam based system. So school based system needs to be focused on, teachers needs to be focused on. The word school living certificate should be having an alternative. The next important article that we are going to see is enjoying the fruits of their labor. This is written by the vice president of our country, and it talks about the farm sector, the farmers or the agriculturists. What does Venkaya Naidu talk in this editorial? He says today India is a leading producer of variety of agricultural and allied produce and exporter of some of them. So we know we produce around 290 billion tons of food grains every year. We are second in production in milk. We are number one in food grains. We have been number one in various other agricultural produce, horticultural produce. But are the farmers getting the benefit of such high agricultural produce that we have? The answer is no. This is what the editorial is trying to say. Venkaya Naidu says that they are the epitome of Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam Karma Yoga means, so in Sanskrit, this philosophy was taught by Krishna to Arjun during the Kurukshetra war. What does it mean? Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That is, do your duty without expecting the fruits of your labor. So this is a very important philosophy that you should know. Nishkam Karma Yoga. That when you do your duty, you should not worry about the results. The results will come automatically. Duty should be first. Duty should be important. Now farmers do their duty without any results. They toil day in and day out and they are not getting any results. But there is a time where you need to give them some due, some credit, some money. Now how it can be done? Various methods have been used. There have been since independence, the first 5-year plan was focused on agriculture during Jawaharlal Nehru's time. After that, we have Green Revolution in 1960s. MS Swaminathan and Indira Gandhi focusing on the Green Revolution. Our production increased. We were a country where we used to ask for food when the Britishers left us. We were a country where we had in various years we had huge famines. But now we are a country where we can export products, export food grains, export fruits, vegetables, etc. Thanks to our farmers who toil day in and day out without them getting anything in return. So what Venkaya Naidu focuses on in this editorial is Market. So remunerative prices, as we have just discussed, remunerative prices is just a mirage. Their incomes are at the mercy of the markets. For every rupee that a farmer makes, others in the supply chain get more. Both farmers and consumers are the sufferers. So we have seen the middlemen are taking a lot of money. Despite increasing public investments in irrigation and other infrastructure, we are still seeing that the farmers are not getting anything in return. And we have seen Narendra Modi government giving a statement that they will be doubling of the farmers income by 2022. So what are we going to do, or what is the government going to do for making the farmers achieve this target of doubling their income? We know about the MSPs, the minimum support price. It is 1.5 times of the cost which the government has increased. But are these enough? The focus has to be the market. That is what Venkaiah Naidu says. Restrictions on farmers. This exploitation has its roots in Bengal famine of 1943, World War II, and the droughts and the famines that I just discussed. Two important topics which Venkaiah Naidu focuses on is the two important acts, I must say, Essential Commodities Act, and then you have the APMC Act, that is Agricultural Produce Marketing Committee Act. These two acts are very important, which the Vice President thinks has been the major reason for the farmers not getting much. We have seen recently Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has made changes in the Essential Commodities Act and the APMC Act. So let's see what are these things. These two laws severely restrict the farmers to sell their produce. Farmers continue to be the victims of the buyer's market. This is the principal cause of their exploitation. M.S. Swaminathan, father of the Green Revolution, we know. What did he say? He has long argued for right of farmers to sell their produce as they deem fit. The country is still far from ensuring efficient value chains for farm produce, for warmth of cold storage, stocking facilities, transports, etc. So if the markets have to improve, these things also need to be improved. Often farmers are forced to dump their produce on the roads or offer it to cattle. So first of all, farmers are forced to sell in the mandis because of the APMC Act. There are no proper cold storage and stocking facilities, and farmers are not getting proper prices. They have to dump their produce outside on the roads or feed it to the cattle. Farmers are the cornerstone of the food security of our country. We have come a long way from ship to mouth existence. Ship to mouth existence means we used to go to countries like USA, United States had a program with us, that is the PL 480, where they used to sell wheat to us. This sell means it was in a very cheap prices. The wheat was also of a very inferior quality. But farmers have not. But from here, where we were getting at cheap prices the wheat, we have now turned into exporters of food grains, but farmers have not got their due. All that they have been getting are only ceremonial, some programs, some schemes, some loans, which does not exactly affect the farmers, does not make much change in their life. Farmers were assured that restrictions on the freedom of market would be removed, but this assurance never came. So just to let you know, again we'll have a recap. What did we see? We saw from nothing we have come to far, that is 290 billion tons. So this is what is our achievement. The issues we have seen, we have focused more on irrigation, infrastructure, etc., but has it brought any changes? Now the focus needs to be market. Two important laws that Venkaiah Naidu spoke about is Essential Commodities Act and APMC Act. Despite that, farmers never stopped work. Given the economic disparities in the country, the interest of consumers need to be protected. Now, having said this, that farmers need to be given more prices, farmers need to increase their income, etc., etc. But can we hurt the interest of the consumers? There needs to be a balance. But focusing on the consumers does not mean that we attack or that we are not giving the due of the producers. The restrictive trade and marketing policies being practiced with respect to agricultural prices have substantially eroded the income of the farmers. The restrictive trade has eroded the interest of the farmers. The APMCs, the Essential Commodities Act, nothing on the contract farming. No, the farmers are not having information. So ENAM is not there, that is electronic agricultural markets. So all these need to be brought forward. Focus on this in this editorial is on the market. A study on agricultural policies in India by IC, that is Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, co-authored by renowned farm economist Ashok Gulati, was published. It concluded that restrictions on agricultural marketing amounted to implicit taxation. So a study has said that restrictions on agricultural marketing is like implicit taxation to the tune of 45 lakh crore. This comes to 2.5 lakh crore per year. No other country does this. So markets need to be reformed. So focusing on the APMC, that is the mandis. 2 days back we had seen in another editorial where the APMC, should it be handled by the government or should it be made private? That is the discussion we were talking about. Today Venkaiah Naidu is supporting that the APMCs should be made private and should be opened up. So what is the important reform this editorial talking about? So this editorial talks about the 20 lakh crore Prime Minister Narendra Modi's announcement for the COVID-19 pandemic. In that, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has unveiled a lot of package for agriculture and allied sector. So what are those? Apart from approximately 4 lakh crore support package for farmers, remember 4 lakh crore is important. Apart from 4 lakh crores for the farmers, there are talks about changing the laws or reforming the laws on Essential Commodities Act and APMCs. So 4 lakh crores, and then you have the Essential Commodities Act and APMCs. But these laws have to be very carefully seen, because it should not be that the farmers are given the right to sell where they want to. The farmers are given the right to sell to the private mandis, and then the private mandis come up and act like landlords, and the farmers have come out from the, it's like they have come out from the well and they are now facing the valley. So this long awaited revision needs to be undertaken with care and responsibility. So it needs to be taken with care and responsibility, and this rewrite should be done at the earliest, while allowing several players to directly access the produce from the farmers. Now what can be focused on is the farmer producer organizations, because when a single farmer goes and tries to sell his goods, he doesn't have much of the bargaining power, whereas the FPOs, farmer producer organizations, can be enhanced to create a greater bargaining power. Plus, next focus can be on the contract farming. Contract farming is another area where we need to look for. So if the APMCs and Essential Commodities Act are to be rewritten, contract farming FPOs have to be made strong. And another concept was, in 1977 there was something called as entire country was declared as one food zone, which means the farmer could go and sell his food or his product to any of the country, any part of the country, and to anyone. So this is what Venkaiah Naidu calls this moment of what Prime Minister and the Finance Minister has done as a 1991 moment for agriculture. that is the LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization of agriculture. Another important thing is for the agricultural extension management revealed that farmer suicides. So there was a study by the National Institute of Agricultural Extension Management, and in that most of the farmers committed suicide because they did not have a supplementary income, that is from poultry or dairy. The huge support to animal husbandry and fisheries in the stimulus package is another area of focus. Okay, so remember APMCs were reformed. Then you have essential commodities, which needs reform. So Essential Commodities Act, APMC, contract farming. Then you have focus on the supplementary like dairy and poultry, and make India a one food zone. So this is what Venkaiah Naidu touches on. This benefited both farmers and consumer. It's time to allow our farmers to sell their produce anywhere, and all stakeholders should be on board while making these new laws. During the pandemic, many are working from home, but farmers have got no such option. Despite the lockdown, they continue to sow wheat, paddy, pulses, etc. In fact, farm output is greater than what it was last year. Our farmers are our pride, and the pride of our country deserve the long-awaited freedom to market their produce at a place of their choice. So they are our pride, and Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan is the right sentence that we used, which was given by Lal Bahadur Shastri. It should become a reality at the earliest. The next editorial talks about helping supply chains recover. Not a fiscal stimulus, but cutting government expenditure, removing price controls, and opening up trade will help. So this is again part of the debate: is does the government need to focus on demand or the supply? So Vipin P. Vital and Kumar Anand both talk about focusing on the supply chain. So what they say is the government has brought in a fiscal stimulus and trying to put more money in the hands of the people, but this will not be of any fruit if the supply chain is disrupted. Currently we are seeing, because of the lockdown, there is no proper supply chain. The plants and machineries have been stopped. There is no production going on. Government needs to focus on these things first, and then once these things are set up, then goods have been made, and later the people will demand of these goods. So this is the debate on demand and supply. The editor are focusing on the supply part. So his focus is on the upstream sectors like mining, machine building, making of goods, and the final consumer goods. So that is the focus on the supply part rather than demand. So his focus naturally will be on the reduction of the output. The editor says reduction in output. Under the lockdown, numerous inputs have not moved from their producers to their users. So these disruptions may lead to further reduction in the output. Currently, we say essentials are not moving from one place to another, though the essentials are allowed, but they have not been moving from one place to another in a proper flow. So there is a reduction. If the input is less, then the output also will be less. Plus today what we consider non-essential, in future, like for example aluminium and the cars and the trucks, will be then becoming essentials, as the non-essentials like the trucks are breaking down slowly and steadily. The supply chain disruptions are going to be amplified by labor shortage. So we spoke about the inputs like essentials, non-essentials, and there is labor shortage which is happening. And countries like India do not have so much of, or you can say developing countries do not have so much of capital to cover the labor shortage. So we have seen essentials, we are talking about mostly inputs over here. We are seeing essentials, we are seeing labor shortage, we are seeing capital. Okay, so these things need to be brought in mind. As economies emerge out of lockdown, entrepreneurs, workers, and consumers must adjust to the new reality. So when we talk about inputs, these are the inputs. We have labor, we have capital, we have entrepreneurship. So the entrepreneurs, workers, and consumers need to adjust with the new reality. The world supply chain must adapt. Earlier, we used to get goods from far away places which were cheap, and the goods were made for the output was made. But now you will have to bring in goods which is close to your geographical proximity, which is close to the geography. When we talk about geography, it means now new areas or new markets will be created, and for that now you need investments, but investments are guided with price signals. So this is a complete chain, so one thing is leading to another. Now prices are gone down, and you can't have more investments when the prices are reducing. So the government needs to focus more on the supply chain rather than creating demand, because these supply disruptions are going to have a further ripple effect. And now we are going to see now the why the stimulus package won't help. The market adjustment processes are likely to be disrupted by the stimulus package. Government spend by printing money, raising debt, or increasing taxes. So when the governments will put more money in the market, they'll be raising debt. They will put more taxes, which will lead to deficit, which will lead to inflation, more prices. Our rupee value will become low. The bureaucrats will have less incentives to work for putting this. Now there is a lot of money in the market. The government has put in a lot of money by printing currency and getting it from outside. So the bureaucrats will not value it, and they will not have the incentives to use it very nicely, diligently. So what has to be done? So the editors are saying this was the example which was done by Germany, West Germany, during the World War II, or after the World War II. During the World War II, complete destruction of Germany had happened. There was price disruption. There was supply chain disruption. Everything had gone haywire. What did the Chancellor do? Chancellor Ludwig Erhard. So just remember the Chancellor's name. Chancellor Ludwig Erhard lifted price control and cut taxes, and allowed the entrepreneurs to focus on marketing and trade, and to come up. So what happened is a thriving supply chain through which goods went from upstream sectors to final consumers. By 1950, per capita income in West Germany had reached its pre-war level. The recent supply chain disruptions are likely to last long. The path to recovery lies in cutting government expenditure, removing price control, and opening up trade. So this is all for the discussion. Remember, the art and science of asking questions is the source of all knowledge. Thank you.